ICAN, ACCA, CFA. If you've ever experienced these three acronyms being thrown around you and you're still not sure where to start, relax. You're not the only one confused. Whether your friend just registered for ACCA, your uncle keeps pressuring you to start your ICAN, or someone mentioned CFA to you and you nodded like you understood, this video is for every aspiring accountant and finance professional. I'm going to break down what they actually are and their real comparison so you can actually decide for yourself. ICAN is in full the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. It is the professional body that makes you a chartered accountant in Nigeria. ICAN takes you through a broad range of subjects: financial reporting, corporate reporting, strategic financial management, auditing, taxation, case study, and more. Once you're done, it gives you an adequate understanding of all the branches of accounting and leaves you room to specialize in whichever area you want. So after ICAN, you can decide if you want to specialize in auditing, taxation, advisory, corporate finance, wherever you want to take it. ACCA, on the other hand, is the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. It is a UK-based but globally recognized national body and is recognized in over 180 countries. It's the same broad territory as ICAN, which covers financial reporting, taxation, auditing, and advisory. But in this case, it has international mobility, so it is not just for Nigeria. Since it is globally recognized, you can use it to practice in any of the 180 countries in the world. And then CFA, which is the Chartered Financial Analyst designation. This is different in nature. It is not an accounting qualification, but it is more of a portfolio management, investment analysis, and asset management designation. If your interest is audit, taxation, accounting, there will be no need for you to go into CFA. But if you're more interested in finance, investment analysis, portfolio management, and asset management, then CFA, you would lean towards the CFA designation. Now let's go quickly into the structure. Now basically, starting from ICAN has 3 levels in total, which is the foundations, the skills, and the professional. And in total, it has 15 papers, and these 15 papers are shared across these 3 levels. And whether you write these 15 papers or you write less depends on the qualification you are using to get into it. For example, each qualification you have more exemptions from different papers. So someone that graduates with an accounting BSc might not necessarily need to write all 15 papers, will be exempted from some, as different from somebody that graduates with something that is not accounting. Maybe it's an economics BSc, they will most likely end up writing the whole 15 papers. ACCA also has 3 levels: the applied knowledge, the applied skills, and the strategic professional. In total, it has 13 papers. And also ACCA has exemptions, meaning that then depending on the qualification that you're using to start this ACCA program, you might not need to write all 13 papers. For example, if you're already a chartered accountant of Nigeria and you're a member of ICAN, you will not need to write the whole 13 papers. Instead, you'll be exempted from 9 and you need to write the remaining 4 papers to become a member of the ACCA body. And then lastly, CFA also has 3 levels: the level 1, 2, and 3. Now, CFA level 1 is more of a multiple choice question of 180 questions. The CFA level 2 is more of a case style item sets, and the CFA level 3 is more of a theoretical mixed with case style item sets and portfolio building question. CFA is very different from the ICAN and the ACCA because of, in this situation, no matter the qualification that you have, you don't get exemptions for it. Everybody has to start from level 1. There's no so even if you're a chartered accountant already or you're a member of ACCA, you would not get any exemptions to write the CFA. You would have to start from level 1. Now let's go into the real comparison. So for this comparison, we're going to be comparing ICAN, ACCA, and CFA based on 4 things: their costs, their timeline, the pass rate, and the recognition. Now starting from their costs, I'm going to start from the cheapest out of everything, which is obviously ICAN, because it is a local body and they mainly fix their prices in local currency and they bear in mind the economic factors of the people living in Nigeria. The total budget for somebody that wants to start and finish their ICAN, the person would have to budget around 300 to 400,000, and this is excluding the tutorial sections or their personal reading materials that they might need. Now this 300 to 400,000 includes the total price for the first level, second level, and the third level. So if you're writing less papers, obviously your budget will be smaller. And then also, if you're writing less papers, you also have to take into consideration that you'd have to pay exemptions for the ones that you are not writing. So your budget too might also be relatively different from somebody that's writing all the papers. One thing about it is that you don't need to have all this money up front. You just need to be able to pay for the level or the paper that you're writing at that point in time. But sometimes it's always very good to know the total budget before you get into it and make a commitment. Now, for ACCA and CFA, the budget is totally different because of these are priced globally. So now for ACCA, since it is a UK body, it is priced priced in pounds, and then for a Nigerian that wants to write it, they would have to convert it, and then converting it has to go through a lot of exchange rate issues, and sometimes the prices can go up and go down. But based on the current exchange rate, the current budget for a Nigerian that would want to write ACCA completely from the first level to the end of and to the last level would probably take around 4.5 million to 4.7 million naira. But the good news is that you don't need to have all this money at the beginning. You just need to pay for the paper that you are writing at that point in time. And then note, this budget excludes the reading materials or the tutorial fees that you might actually want to do if you are not doing self-study. Also, another thing to note is that this budget I'm sharing with you are usually priced in pounds. So me converting it to naira is just based on the rates as at when this video is being made. So whenever you want to start your ACCA journey, it's something that you need to confirm officially the price and then the rates, the exchange rate at that point in time. And lastly, for CFA, which is most expensive, it takes about 6.5 million to write all levels. But the good news, just like the other two, is that you don't need to have all this money at once. So for the CFA level 1, it takes about $1,000 to $1,200, and if you convert that, that's about 2 million naira to pay for your CFA level 1. So this is something that somebody must take into consideration before actually committing to the paper. So you cannot start reading with actually knowing the price of the money that you need to budget to pay for these exams. Secondly, we're going to compare them based on their timeline. For ICAN, for somebody that's already a graduate, it takes them about 1 to 1.5 years to completely finish, depending on where they start, right? I mentioned earlier that depending on their qualifications, they can get exemptions from some. I already have an ICAN series covering this, so if you're more interested on knowing how to start ICAN and then the different routes you can take, visit my channel to watch the ICAN Starter Pack series to get more information. Then for ACCA, it takes about 3 to 4 years, including 3 years work experience that is required before you can get the designation before full membership. So also for ACCA, the amount of time you spend depends on the qualifications that you have. Qualifications that you have can give you exemptions for some papers, and you might not need to write all the papers, therefore reducing the timeline that you spend to get this qualification. Then lastly, for CFA, it takes a candidate roughly about 2.5 years to 4 years to complete this professional designation. Now we know that there are 3 levels, and each of these 3 levels only have a limited run every year, so you cannot just write based on when you feel. It has a limited number of run every year, so in total it takes about 2.5 years to 4 years to complete this designation. Now comparing based on their pass rates, out of these 3 professional qualifications, CFA is the only one that actually publishes their pass rate, with the level 1 at around 45% pass rate, the level 2 around the mid 40% pass rate, and the level 3 around 50% pass rate. ICAN and ACCA do not publish their pass rates. Make of this what you will, but I don't want to be throwing around numbers if they are not factual and legit. And then lastly, comparing these 3 qualifications based on their recognition in Nigeria and globally. For a standard, if you want to work in any Nigerian accounting firm, audit firm, in corporate finance, in taxation, or even a big 4 in Nigeria, ICAN is your go-to and is your standard. This is what is expected of you to have. In fact, even if you get into one of those big organizations or big 4s, your growth or your promotion might be limited if you've not yet gotten your ICAN designation. ACCA is respected and increasingly common because of multinational firms and organizations with international clients. And also, if you want global mobility, ACCA is your go-to. Then CFA is respected mostly in the investment circle, the portfolio management, the asset management, and the banking circle. Outside of that space, if you just want to be an auditor or a tax practitioner, there's no need for a CFA designation. It is more specifically for people that are going into the finance space. And those are the 4 comparisons. Based on all these 4 comparisons, I believe you should be able to see each of these qualifications clearer and maybe have your eye on a particular 1 or 2. The good thing about this is that you don't have to stay clearly to one of these professional organizations. You can always have 2, you can always have the 3 of them, or you can have more outside the ones that we've discussed. And another good thing about it is that some of these professional organizations are kind of linked together, in the sense that after doing your ICAN, you can always aim for more and get your ACCA. Then CFA doesn't necessarily grant anybody exemptions for being a chartered accountant, but there are connections in terms of material, meaning that you being a chartered accountant will grant you more advantage when you're preparing for CFA. Having examined these 3 professional qualifications in all these areas, the questions that you should ask yourself is not just which one is best for you. Instead, you should ask yourself, do I want to build a career here in Nigeria, or do I want global mobility? Am I drawn to accounting and finance broadly, or am I specifically more interested in investment and portfolio management? And also, what is your realistic budget today. Because if you're somebody that wants to go into finance, but at the same time you don't have the budget to start a CFA, you can always start from what you have. Because like I said, ICAN doesn't necessarily give you exemptions to CFA, but it brings you closer to it in terms of knowledge and the experience that you need in some of the materials that you do in CFA. Do you already feel pulled to one of these? Sometimes you already know and you just need permission to trust it. All these three are real respected qualifications, and no one is a wrong choice. They just serve different goals, different timelines, and different budgets, and the right one is the one that matches where you want to end up. If this video has helped you decide which of these three qualifications you should go for, let me know in the comments. If you already pursued one of these qualifications, I'd love to know which one and why. And if you've already completed one of these qualifications and you're thinking of starting another one, drop it down in the comments below. If after watching this video and you're leaning towards starting your ICAN qualifications, I've prepared a free ICAN checklist that can guide you on the qualification routes, the budget, the 2 weeks plan, and all the things you need to know before you actually start your ICAN journey. Link in the description and also in the comment section. And then subscribe to this channel if you want more honest breakdowns like this. See you in the next one.